Welcome to this explainer. Right now, completely beneath your conscious awareness, there's this invisible biological matrix dictating so much of your life. We're talking about your rate of aging, your emotional resilience, and your long-term health. Today, we're going to decode this hidden operating system. We're going to uncover exactly how your nervous system makes its moment-to-moment decisions, and more importantly, how you can actually take back control of those hidden forces. There's this absolutely fascinating truth buried in the medical literature. A healthy heart is not a metronome. Its beat-to-beat fluctuations are actually mathematical chaos. Now, I know that completely shatters what we've all been taught, right? We usually think a perfectly steady pulse is the ultimate goal. But modern longevity science reveals something crazy. Perfect steadiness is actually a huge sign of biological danger, which opens up a massive question. If a steady heartbeat is bad, what actually makes a cardiovascular system healthy? Well, the secret lies in heart rate variability, or HRV. To understand this, we have to zoom way past that simple beats per minute metric. We're diving down into the microscopic, ever-shifting fractions of a second between consecutive heartbeats. We're looking at an invisible measurement of time in mere milliseconds. And it turns out, this microscopic space, it holds the absolute key to understanding your entire physiological state. Let's make this tangible. Even if your heart is beating at exactly 60 beats per minute, the time between those beats isn't a perfect 1 second gap. It's constantly shifting. One gap might be zero point 0.9 seconds, and then the very next one could be 1.15 seconds. From an evolutionary standpoint, this constant microscopic shifting is just brilliant. A rigid heart simply can't adapt to sudden danger. So this variance, it's the ultimate sign of a highly adaptable, highly resilient system that is primed for survival. So let's look at the biological mechanism behind this, an evolutionary tug of war. Because what's actually driving all this unseen chaos? It's an ancient mechanism inside you. Think of it as an evolutionary command center that's constantly assessing threats and safety. Basically, you have two competing branches of your autonomic nervous system sending simultaneous opposing signals right to your heart. On one side, you've got your sympathetic nervous system. This is your internal accelerator. It drives that fight or flight stress response. And on the other side, your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the brake. It manages rest, digest, and recover. So here is the absolutely crucial point. A high HRV means your heart is highly responsive to both of these inputs. It means your body can fluidly switch gears from stress to recovery in an instant. A low HRV, on the other hand, indicates a really dangerous biological lock-in. It means one branch is dominating. Essentially, you're biologically locked into a state of survival, silently burning precious resources and exhausting your cells, even when you think you're just totally relaxed. And the data here reveals a pretty stark biological reality. As we get older, our systemic resilience faces a steep, natural decline. Just look at the numbers. The middle 50% of 20-somethings sit comfortably between 55 and 105 milliseconds. But by age 60, that average just plummets to 25 to 45 milliseconds. Seeing that drop should immediately make you ask, is this sharp biological decline just inevitable? Or can we somehow slow down and maybe even reverse this hidden clock? That brings us to the modern biological conflict. To figure out how to reverse that clock, we really have to look at how modern environmental factors are secretly hijacking this ancient evolutionary system. We are navigating a very modern world with a very ancient nervous system. So why is your biology behaving like it's actively running from a predator when you're just sitting safely on your couch watching TV? What are the invisible, everyday habits that are silently keeping your stress response dialed all the way up to 10? Well, it turns out our daily habits are silently keeping this stress response engaged. Take a high-sugar diet, for example. That physically spikes cellular alarm bells. We're talking inflammatory cytokines like TNF-alpha, which directly suppress your calming vagus nerve. Or chronic dehydration. That reduces your total blood volume, which forces your heart to work harder and narrows your HRV. But then there's one of the most powerful, invisible disruptors of all, late-night eating. Let's actually trace the exact physiological cascade that might be happening inside your body tonight. When you consume a meal within 3 hours of going to sleep, massive amounts of blood flow are forcefully diverted to your gut for digestion. This completely blocks your normal nocturnal parasympathetic dominance. It blunts that essential restorative overnight dip in your heart rate, and it severely crashes your HRV. By forcing the body to digest food, you're fundamentally preventing it from performing vital cellular repair and healing. But here's the thing, stress isn't always the enemy. We actually have to address this really fascinating scientific paradox. When you engage in intense physical exercise, your HRV actually plummets. You are absolutely spiking your sympathetic stress in that moment.
Yet, this acute controlled strain is exactly what fundamentally rewires your nervous system. It acts a lot like a biological vaccine, building a much higher, more resilient HRV and protecting you against future chaos in the long run.
So let's talk about rewiring your autonomic health.
How do we deliberately tune this hidden operating system? Thankfully, the science provides some highly actionable biological levers we can pull to step out of that chronic survival mode. Step 1. Extended overnight fasting. That means strictly stopping all food intake 3 or more hours before bed. Step 2 is sleep consistency, locking in 7 to 9 hours on a rigid schedule to powerfully anchor your circadian rhythm. And Step 3, optimal hydration, aiming for up to 1 ounce of water per pound of body weight to properly support your total blood volume.
But, it's not just diet and sleep timing. The physical tools in your environment play a remarkable role too. Consider this fascinating clinical study that tracked patients who were recovering from the intense pain and stress of having their wisdom teeth extracted. Counterintuitively, the patients who slept with weighted blankets showed a significantly higher overnight HRV recovery. By simply changing the physical sensation of their environment, they literally hack their nervous systems into a deeper, safer, restorative state.
This all points to the interconnected emergent whole.
All of these isolated mechanisms finally bring us to a profound synthesis. Let's map out this cascading reality because it is truly awe-inspiring. When you optimize your sleep depth, your HRV rises. A higher HRV is a direct biological signal of strong vagal tone, which actively suppresses systemic inflammation. And lowering those cellular alarm bells directly slows down your biological aging at the cellular level. So one single good night of restorative sleep cascades downward, proving that your small, moment-to-moment behaviors are literally altering decades of future biological outcomes. Which really leads us to this final overarching realization. Health is not just some collection of isolated habits. It is the emergent result of countless interconnected biological processes occurring every moment of every day. HRV isn't just some vanity metric or a random number to chase on a screen. It is the ultimate decoder ring. It's the real-time language of your body's resilience. Your autonomic nervous system is silently listening to every single choice you make, constantly waiting for signals of stress or signals of safety. The power is entirely in your hands right now to shift the trajectory of your longevity. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one lingering question. How will you tune your nervous system tonight?